Hi again then guys, and so we've got another X-Tunes circuit setup for you today, and for those who are unfamiliar with X-Tunes, this is a PP specific circuit setup, but instead of building the car to a certain PP for a certain track, etc., we just take a car with a lot of performance potential or a very popular model and basically max it out, get it to the highest PP, the most power, the lowest weight, etc., that car runs the best with, basically to make the car as rapid as it can possibly be, period. Now, I've opted for racing soft tyres. I know a lot of people don't like to use racing soft tyres, especially on faster models. The simple remedy to that is don't use them. As far as brakes, I've increased the rear balance to 6. If you do opt not to use ABS, you may not want to do that, because that does make the car more inclined to lock up under braking. As far as the suspension, we've got the ride height on 50 front and rear, springs on 1425 and 1850, the dampers to 5 all round, anti-roll to 3, camber on 2 with neutral toe. We'll come back to the gearbox in just a second. For the diff, we've gone a little bit different to usual. We've got the highest initial torque because the McLaren F1 has, or is known for having, twitchy handling, relatively light front end due to the 47% of the weight being over the front, and that can very easily run away with itself into oversteer. So we've got the initial torque as high as possible to counteract that. The acceleration we've got at the exact opposite for the same reason, because with acceleration and braking sensitivity they work in the opposite way. The lower you go, the stiffer it becomes. And as far as braking, we've got that as high as possible to keep the car from being too stiff under braking, because obviously when you slam on the brakes you don't want the car to just plough straight off the corner and just keep going in a straight line. As far as the power, very simple, just fit all the upgrades. I have fitted NOS, and I know a lot of people opt not to use that. Just don't fit it if it's not your thing. As far as downforce, I have fitted the optional body kit and a custom rear wing. We're running the maximum downforce possible. The full weight loss package has been applied, of course, and it is a pretty lightweight car. And finally, for the gearbox, we've got an auto setting of 249. Then for the individual gears, 5.8, 3.7, 2625, 1975, 1550 and 1275 with a final drive of 2.1. So that's it for the mechanical setup overall, and as always I would encourage personal variation, tweak the settings, find what works best for you. And now, to see what the car can do, let's take it out to the Nürburgring. Now, as far as the look of this car, obviously you can go for whatever colour you want, but I've opted for, obviously, orange wheels, and I've gone for the solid black body colour, which is of course the glitched black from the Peugeot Vision GT. Now, moving on to, more importantly, the car, the McLaren F1 is a pure driver's car. It's a racing car for the road. It was designed to be a car which you could drive to the Le Mans, win, and then drive home again. So it's not a beginner-friendly car. You may assume that it would be, but it's not. It's a pure driving machine. So I would actually not recommend either this car in general, but specifically this tune, for less experienced GT drivers. You need some experience of Gran Turismo, obviously, and more importantly of tricky cars, in order to learn how to use this car to your best advantage. Because even though I very heavily tuned the car and got it running extremely tight parameters as far as the gearbox, the diff, the suspension, it's still not the easiest of cars to drive. Now, if you get in a clean lap, it will run up there with the best of them. It's as fast as a prototype on some tracks, but it requires work, a lot more work than many other cars which can run similar times. So really the McLaren F1 is a vehicle of passion. This tune is a tune of passion for people who love the car and who don't really mind about how difficult it is to drive because they want to use it. Now, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the McLaren F1, but I know people are, which is why I did this tune. So for those of you who do love the car, or who just fancy a challenge and do decide to use this tune, obviously I hope you find it fun, and it is highly competitive but also highly challenging. And if you're new to the channel and would like to keep up with other tunes and builds like this as soon as they're released, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and as always, thanks for watching.